First I want to do some audio checks, so let's just you and me talk here for a second.
Okay.
So we're in Brent's office. Brent ran away, didn't want to be here today, right?
Right, something like that.
So he took off, and he's in Virginia Beach having a weekend.
Right, with the family, and he'll be back Sunday and back to work on Monday.
And so we would have had 3 chairs here, but we only have the 2. So you're going to have to put up with me and not have him as a buffer. So there
Yeah,
you go.
okay.
For 45 years, the Miller family and the dedicated staff at Autokrafters have been here helping you to restore your dream Ford. Thank you for your support. Here's to another 45 years of delivering parts for your Falcon, Fairlane, F-100, Galaxie, Maverick, and Pinto.
I guess what I want to do is I want to start off asking you, what got you into this as a line of work?
Well, that goes back into the late 70s when I was a body shop manager at Woodhouse Ford in Blair, Nebraska. I was selling some Mustang parts, used Mustang parts as a little side gig, body shop manager at the Ford dealership. I got a wild hair and applied for a job in California. They hired me. They called up Kim a couple of weeks later and said, "Hey, we want to hire your husband. How soon can you be here?" Oh. I mean, we really have to move to California? We thought about it. My brother was in California. He basically talked me out of it. But Woodhouse...
Even back in the 70s, huh?
Yeah. Woodhouse had already hired my replacement. And so he said, well, you can stay here and sell cars. And I said, well, let me think about it. And at that point, I decided to start the one-man band Autokrafters body shop, hence the name Autokrafters, and me and myself started doing body work and did a lot of dealer work. Then I started selling parts, and there was a demand for them, and to be honest with you, I found it easier to sell parts than it was to go get filthy dirty in a body shop every day and go home.
So that's why you're in the business world, because you're a smart man like that.
You know, that's where it started. In Fort Calhoun, Nebraska was our first shop. Then we were in Omaha for several years and expanded a little bit there. But we weren't bringing much to the bottom line, and so I said, we need a change in our life, and Kim and I talked about it, and we ended up in the Shenandoah Valley of Virginia in 1987.
Did you just like throw a dart at a map and go there, or why did you choose Broadway?
Well, because Virginia Mustang was here, Virginia Classic Mustang.
He's still here just down the road from
right
you guys.
Across the road from us now, where we're at. Originally, the plan was for me to work for them, and which I did. They hired me, and I was supposed to be the wholesale manager. And it didn't take long for me to see that I've got Bob Halderman hired me, nice guy. He's gone now, but his son Brand still runs Virginia Mustang. So I just decided to backtrack and do Autokrafters. So Autokrafters never really ceased to exist. My wife Kim was operating it from our house over in Timberville. We lived on 10 acres outside of town and had a few outbuildings, and we still had customers calling and parts and things. So that was the nighttime job for me, was going home and packing orders. Our agreement with Virginia Mustangs, I wouldn't sell Mustang parts. So
Didn't say anything about the other stuff.
No, they were okay with it. They didn't care about Falcons, Fairlanes, Galaxie. They didn't care that. Just so don't compete with us in Mustang. And so that's probably why we don't do anything really in Mustang today, is because once we transitioned to Falcons, Fairlanes, Galaxies, Torinos, pickups, we didn't feel we wanted to compete with the Mustang guys that were out there.
Sure, and there's a ton of those.
And they were stronger than we would ever be. So initially we were working out of the house. Then my neighbor, who happened to have a brother, somebody that worked for the county inspectors, turned me in for running a business in a residential area, even though it is out in the country. So we moved to town, and that started in South Main Street in Broadway for several years, and then moved to Newmarket, and then moved back to Broadway. So we're back and forth, but we're happy where we're at. We've got a very good crew. My son Brent, who was born the year I founded Auto Krafters, is the chief operating officer.
Great.
My
So it's
daughter,
a family. It's still a family business.
definitely.
All the kids work.
Misty, my daughter runs eBay and Amazon, and now my daughter-in-law Melissa is here as well, working part-time while she takes some additional classes at the university in Harrisonburg.
That's kind of it's kind of unusual now. It used to not be that way. So many of these businesses started off National Parts Depot, you guys, Virginia Mustang. There were a lot of businesses out there that were basically family-run businesses, kind of the same story that you have, where you got started with it, and those are going away now. I mean, on the whole, Scott Drake is no longer owned. You know, it's a bank-owned business basically. Right. The investment bankers have gotten involved. Holly, all of these bigger businesses that have been around for ages and ages,
right.
they're kind of turning away from a mom and pop shop. But I actually prefer that because you're not just a business, you're an enthusiast.
I've got a lot of long-time employees, 27, 25, 20, years.
How long has Melody been here? Because she's one of the ladies that works in your art department, and she's been here
since '97. Wow. And
you must be doing something
well, we're proud of that. Apparently our people like working here, and we give them a lot of leeway. They need time off to go to their son's baseball game or whatever. Fine, you can go, and we don't make a big deal about those kind of things.
Sure. But that's the nice thing about a family business too, because you do understand the whole family aspect of things. That you know that's why you're really doing these things. You're doing these jobs to have the family, not just to have the job.
Right.
It's to support your family at home. So it's nice that your company understands that.
And during COVID, my 3 grandkids were all here doing their studies on their laptops, because that's the way things went for a while.
Yeah, because you guys were still open during COVID. You didn't shut down at all, and kept. Matter of fact, we had talked before. That was some of the best times you've had as a business is within the last few years. You know, during the COVID times when people were basically stuck at home, they started working on their cars and ordering parts.
It started picking up a little bit pre-COVID, but COVID really just, because we were operating and we increased inventory substantially, we could supply the parts and the people wanted to get the project. I tell people, I guess people got tired of that old Falcon sitting in the garage for 10 years and decided, well, what else am I going to do? I'm stuck here at home. It's worked out well for us, and we're proud to be here now. We're in our 46th year of selling Ford parts.
The nice thing about it is too, probably during COVID, is you guys are actually a stocking store. You guys stock what you sell. I mean, you can't obviously. You don't have everything, but you have a good bit of the parts that are very popular, parts that guys will need for their cars. So that's the cool thing about your business is you're not a mail order business that's just basically a drop ship from somewhere else. You do have a number of parts.
Yeah, we have a few things we drop ship, but the majority of things are on the shelf. They order it today, that's going out the next business day. Today's Friday, that means Monday, parts that are ordered today will be on the truck Monday. They might even go out today if things, because Fridays sometimes slow down at the end of the week. The sooner we get the parts to the customers, the sooner they can get on with their projects. And
yep, that's what it's all about, is keeping them happy and keeping the parts moving. You're not going to give them a back order slip, you're giving them the parts they need.
Right, exactly.
All right, so my next question for you, Ron, is have you always been a Ford guy? My dad wasn't. My dad was a Dodge guy that turned into a Ford guy. So have you always been into Fords?
No. No, my father was a Mopar guy. I learned to drive in a '60 Dodge Phoenix. He had a '56 Chrysler New York or something. I do remember he brought home a 60 Falcon wagon when they were first released, thinking he might get that and that would be our second car. And I can remember riding in the back and not being really impressed with the car. I mean, it was what it was. My father took it back and said no thanks, and then he bought that Chrysler off the used car lot from the Ford dealer. So, you know, my first car was a Pontiac Bonneville 389 4-speed car.
Nice.
You know, I was a car guy from the very beginning. I went through 7 cars from age 16 through graduation.
Woo.
But the difference is I paid for all of them and traded them and whatever the case may be. But I really turned to Fords when I went to work for Woodhouse Ford in the late 70s.
Huh.
And they were just starting to become a very high volume dealer. At one time in the 80s or 90s, they were the largest F-Series dealer in the country for a couple of years, selling well over 4,000 F-Series trucks. And if you think about that, that's a lot of trucks coming out of
a lot of trucks out of one location.
Out of one location. And now they're a group. They have, you know, Audi and all kinds of different vehicles, but it all started with one Ford dealership.
Wow.
So that's.
So did you get the van and the photograph of you and Kim? Is that from that dealership?
No, that was probably a used one that I bought. I bought several things from Woodhouse. I bought a '93 Cobra. I turned it into an SCCA legal American sedan. Of course, now the cars would be worth 3 times what I paid for it, but that's neither here nor there.
Yeah, you don't know. You do things like that back in the day because we all think, oh, it's going to be worth something one day. But then you get a car that's a newer car and you just kind of start doing things to it. Because you and your son both SCCA raced for a while, right?
Right. In the late 90s and early 2000s. I sold the Mustang a couple years ago and I looked at the headlight sticker, and the last time it was on the track was 2010. And I'm thinking, well, I guess I'm done. I guess I'm retired. So I sold the car, and of course I'd sort of like to have it now, but I don't. So
because he campaigned an '85 Mustang.
Yeah.
Yeah. He had the '85. You had the teal '96.
93 Cobra, and you know, he was driving my car, and then we found this other car used, and it was already set up for you know, a legal car, so we changed a few things around, and it was fun racing together. Sometimes I'd beat him, sometimes he'd beat me, but it was a way we did things. I mean, we took the whole family to the racetrack, and that was our race weekend, and
Yep.
We went from Watkins Glen, New York.
There's a lot of good racetracks.
VIR down in Southern Virginia. We went to a driving school in Atlanta, at Road Atlanta. Never actually raced there, but went to a driving school there.
That's
one
a fun
time.
track.
So maybe in '94, I took it to the that would have been the 30th anniversary, right? There in '94.
Something like that, yeah.
In Charlotte, and was riding around the track, the open track there, and Kim's got the old camera, and she's going like this because the car, you know, I didn't like sliding around on the leather seats, and that's what made me turn it into a legal car that I'm buckled into.
Yeah, you're planted inside the car. Let me ask you a question, going back to the business side of things. What is your biggest mover here? As far as catalogs, that you send the most catalogs and you sell the most parts on, do you have one group that actually...
To gauge it now, I don't have exact numbers, but my gut feeling, which has done okay for me over the years, is that the trucks are really strong now. F-Series, our catalog covers 61 through 79. There was a time when we did earlier and then we did later, and we chose to narrow down the field so that we could make sure the parts that we had in the catalog we had available to sell.
Right.
Most people in today's world, some people will wait, most people don't want to wait. If they say, well, I'll have it in 2 weeks, well, sorry, I'll call somebody that has it today.
Yeah.
So I think trucks, then probably followed by Fairlanes and Torinos, Falcons,
Really?
Galaxies. Mavericks are still strong. We're the only company that prints a print catalog for Mavericks.
You also do Pinto too, right?
Well, we're sort of letting that one slide. There's not much to do there. There's not many parts available, and the market's pretty thin. So
Yeah, I mean it's not exactly the biggest market. If they had a performance Pinto, they had maybe a Cosworth Pinto or something like that, I could see it. So I'm going to ask you one last question on this before we break up here and let you get back to work. All catalogs that you have, what in each one of those catalogs? Let's start off with Ford F100s or the Ford Series F-Series trucks. What's your favorite F-Series truck?
either the bump sides or the dent sides. You know, when I was working at Woodhouse, the dent sides were new. I was working on them when they were new, and I know those trucks pretty well. But you know, I was fortunate. I bought a 70 F100 a couple of months ago that was a really nice original truck.
I remember you because was it Mark Gombosi?
Yeah.
I think that's how you say it. Sorry, if you watch Mark, sorry if I butchered your
No,
last name.
Mark's it. Yeah, he found it, and I was out of town at the time, and he's posting it, and I wrote to him and said I probably would like to have that truck. So we got together, and he brought it down, and it needs a couple of things, but it's a pretty nice solid truck. So that one will be one I'll be driving, but
Nice.
I'd really like to get the last new truck of that, the dent sides that I had was a 76 F-150 black short box.
That was a freestyle or whatever they call it.
No, it was just a black red interior, four-wheel drive. It's when I worked at Woodhouse, and I had a van on order, and vans were so hot then, they were way months and months to get them. And they unloaded this black truck, and I said, "Hey, Bob, can I buy that?" And he said, "Well, yeah, sure." So I bought it and drove it for 6 months, and ended up selling it for more than I paid for it because I had put on some other wheels and things, and so I made a little bit, but it was my ride until the van came in. But I really liked that truck, but they're getting hard to find good solid ones.
It really is. Okay, favorite Fairlane series body. What of all the 64? Let's just say 62 all the way up to 70, whatever 77.
68, 69. I have a 69 wagon. A few months ago, I bought a 69 Montego that's a loaded car that I'll be redoing. That's similar. I mean, it's the Mercury cousin.
Yeah.
But yeah, 68 and 69 is probably my favorite year there.
What about Falcon?
64, 65. I had a really nice 65 a few years ago and sold it. I recently bought a 63 Sprint convertible as a driver, because I've never owned a 63 out of all the years and cars. So,
well, Mavericks basically all look the same, but if you had to pick one Maverick, what would you say is your favorite of the Mavericks?
well, I've got a 70 Grabber that I like. It's an original car, and
Is that one of the ones that you were talking about us going and coming up and picking up and doing some stuff with and on the show?
that was a 73.
That's right.
73 Grabber. That's a red car that had a vinyl roof, and so
I have a roof.
yeah. Well, I have a roof too, but it needs a roof. That's why nothing happened to it. But it's a pretty decent car that could be redone, and we were going to do a V8 conversion and all that stuff.
I would say Pinto, but you're trying to get out of Pinto, so.
Not any Pintos. Galaxie, the last one, probably 66 Galaxie.
Okay.
7-liter cars. I really like those. I've had a couple. The only Galaxie that I'm currently own that's drivable is a 63 Galaxie 500 XL 4-door hardtop, which
Yeah,
is a
that
little
one in
unique.
Nebraska, didn't it?
Right, yeah. Came from Omaha.
Yeah.
But not a lot of the 4-door hardtops with the bucket seats in them, so it was an interesting car. And took it on the Nebraska tour last year, which is a driving tour in the first weekend of June. Yeah, I just wanted to mention, we were talking about catalogs. We still do print catalogs. We'll probably always do print catalogs. A lot of my competitors have given up on print because it's expensive.
It is expensive anymore.
It's expensive to create, expensive to print, mail.
Hard to get the paper now.
Right, that's another issue. But we found out that, a good percentage of our customers want a print catalog.
I like a print catalog. I mean, I will go to y'all's website. When we're doing parts and we're getting things from you guys for the show, I will go to the website to look at the stuff, but a lot of times I will still find myself going into the hard catalog. I just like having a catalog in my hands. I'm of that age, I guess, that a paper catalog is kind of like when I was a kid.
It's true. The older guys, the older guys here like the print catalogs. The younger guys want to do everything on their phone. I just wish the young guys on the phone would learn to scroll down and read instead of buy and then, it doesn't fit my car. No, I bought the wrong thing. Sorry, I got to send it back.
So guys, if you're young and you're watching the show, just scroll. Don't buy the very first one. Know your parts. That's really the biggest thing I can tell you. Know your parts whenever you're doing this kind of stuff. The
biggest issue we have with returns is people not knowing whether they have a sedan or a hardtop. It's crazy, but it happens practically every day where somebody bought something and they have a sedan, they bought it for a hardtop. Oh, it doesn't fit. Well, no, it won't because it's different.
You know a guy who could probably help you with that.
Yeah, maybe.
Well, Ron, I'm gonna let you get back to work, man. I appreciate you taking the time to do the interview with us. We're gonna go out and get some more stuff, show some, look at some of the other stuff you've got going on here. But it is an absolute pleasure, as always, to spend some time with you and sit down and chat with you. So,
well, we appreciate you coming up to the valley. No severe thunderstorms last night, and maybe none tonight, but there's been a few around lately.
Yeah, we've had some pretty good weather down in our neck of the woods too. It's been crazy hot the last few days down there.
Yeah.
But anyway, guys, do me a favor: be kind to each other, love on each other, treat each other nice. You guys have a great week, and we'll see you on down the road. So, we're going to go out and look up. I'm worried that my wife has actually gone out and looked at the Suburban some more because she has disappeared.
Well, he took that to trade it for the Falcon.
Whew, good.
He had
a fighting chance to not own a Suburban.
That was supposed to happen before you got here, but he was behind. So
it's